BBC 6 o'clock news. The volcano in Iceland has continued to cause disruption to air traffic almost all over Asia and Europe. The volcano has been erupting for 6 days, and its ash cloud has prevented many tourists and workers from getting home. No one knows when the eruptions will come to an end, but last time there was a major eruption, it lasted for 3 years. The name of the volcano is Eyjafjallajökull, which means geyser in Icelandic. The volcano is located in the southern part of Iceland. We will now switch over to Anna, our local reporter in Iceland.
Thank you, Magnus. I'm reporting live from the Icelandic volcano Eyjafjallajökull. The last eruption from this volcano was in 1821, and it continuously erupted during the next 3 years. We have no idea how long this eruption will last, and people are starting to get worried. The reason the air traffic is cancelled is if an airplane is to fly through an ash cloud, the ash will invade the engine intake, clogging the turbine blades, and because of the extreme heat in the motor, the ash could solidify inside the engine. Back to you, Magnus.
That was quite interesting and informative. We have a geologist who has been researching the volcano. David Connor, could you explain why the volcano is erupting?
Well, I'm sure most of you have heard of plate tectonics before. This is what caused the eruption to take place. Iceland is on top of the mid-Atlantic ridge, which is a constructive margin, meaning new land is being made along the ridge. When new land is being made, the crust there is very, very thin. If the crust is very thin, then the magma underneath doesn't need a lot of pressure to break through. Iceland is riddled with thousands of volcanoes which can blow at the slightest of tremors because they are on top of this very thin crust.
Could you explain a little about the geology of the volcano?
Well, sure, Magnus. Well, as you already know, the volcano in Iceland just erupted. Iceland is a MEDC country, meaning more economically developed country, so rescue efforts were abundant. Due to this, there weren't many casualties. If this happened in a less economically developed country, the results would be disastrous. There are 3 types of volcanoes: shield volcanoes, cinder cone volcanoes, and composite volcanoes. The one that just erupted was a cinder cone volcano. Each type of volcano has its properties, and here are the properties of cinder cone volcanoes. It has a crater on top of it, somewhere resembling a bowl, and these craters might have a small amount of lava or glacier. Since there's a glacier on top of the volcano in Iceland, the heat from the rising magma is melting the glacier, potentially drowning nearby volcanoes. There are many cinder cone volcanoes around the world, and the most famous is called Paracutin in Mexico. Out of all the type of volcanoes, these might be the most destructive. Scientists are unable to get a clear look at the volcano because the ash mist around the volcano is very hard to see through. But stunningly, there is an upside to the mayhem. The volcano only emitted 150,000 tons of CO2, while the airline industry, if not stopped, would have emitted 344,000 tons of CO2 per day.
Thank you, David. Now over to our last report. Switch to Sjur, who is currently in Heathrow Airport.
I'm here at Heathrow Airport. With me is Shrecha, an Indian tourist who was not able to get back to India because of the ash cloud over Europe. How do you feel about your plane being cancelled?
Well, I'm not that happy. I'm already late to get home, and on top of this, the volcano had erupted to make me even more late. This ash cloud is just a very big pain for us all trying to get back home.
Do you agree with the airline company for cancelling your flights?
Well, if there's a large chance for the airplane crashing, then I agree with their decision, but it's a very inconvenient time for it to happen.
That was all. Back to you, Magnus.
It has been a year since the Eyjafjallajökull eruption. Air traffic was resumed after 8 days of delayed flights. The total loss of the airline industry was €1.3 billion, and 107 flights were cancelled altogether. After the eruptions of 2010, there has been more eruptions in Iceland. The Grímsvötn volcano sent a plume of ash 5,480 meters into the air.